Okay guys, I'm back with another video. This is going to be the last Champions League predictions for this season. This is going to be me predicting the Champions League Final, which obviously got confirmed yesterday that it's going to be between Manchester City and Inter Milan. So before we get into it, I would like to take a look at my prediction for the semi-final. I got Manchester City right. I said that they were going to go through, and I sadly for myself, but yeah, happily for a lot of other people, I got the other game wrong. I said that I thought that AC Milan were gonna go through, which just wasn't true. They got beat 3-0 on aggregate by their fierce rivals Inter Milan, and obviously we all know that City, they absolutely thumped Real Madrid last night 4-0, and then they went through 5-1 on aggregate. But before we're gonna get into the predictions, I want to talk about those games in particular. So let's just start off with the Milan derby. I watched the first game, very dominant by Inter Milan. They could have got way more than 2 goals. AC Milan obviously missed Rafael Leao, so yeah. But if whether or not he would have made that big of an impact, I genuinely don't know, because I feel like Inter were very compact in defense, as they always are. And yeah, I just don't think that AC Milan had, any chance to really get a goal. I actually did not watch the second game because I watched my own team play, so I could not watch the second game. But obviously with the way that Inter played, they are the team that deserved to be in the final. So I believe that from both of the games, the right team got into the final based on, how they played football. So let's jump into the City Real Madrid game. The first game was boring at times, I would say. De Bruyne scored a cracker of a goal. Like, that goal was just insane. It was like he actually tried to kill Courtois for good reason, because he did steal his girlfriend back in, I believe, 2014. But I really want to focus more on the second game that happened last night. Manchester City, they played Real Madrid out of the pitch. I've never seen a team play that good football before since Barcelona in 2011, 2012. And City, they just played incredible. Like, up until they got the first goal, I don't even think Real Madrid had possession in City's half like more than 2 or 3 times. City held possession all the time. They did not give the ball away to Real Madrid, and they were completely dominant in midfield. Like, if Real Madrid had 4 guys in midfield, City would have 6 in midfield. They really bossed the whole midfield in that game, especially throughout the first half. And obviously it was Bernardo who was going to score goals. And I watched it with my friend, and I actually said to him, man, Bernardo, he must be so pissed right now, because in like the 6th minute, Camavinga, I believe it was, made like a tackle that could been perceived as a yellow card, but Bernardo didn't even get the foul, and then he pushed Cruz at the corner flag, and then the referee blew for a foul, and I could tell that Bernardo, he was very pissed. So I'm like, this guy is very pissed. He's gonna do something. And then he went up and scored 2 goals. So, you know what? Just don't piss off Bernardo Silva next time. And the thing about like City, the way that they played, it's not really that Real Madrid played bad, because we cannot say how Real Madrid played, because City didn't allow them to play their game. So they did dominate a few, like 5 to 10 minutes at a time in like the second half as well, where City, they kind of fell back. But of course, they were 3-0 up at that moment in time, so it's very understandable that they would just fall a little bit back. And Real Madrid, they really only had 1 chance, and I'm saying 1 chance, not 1 shot on goal. They had 1 chance when it was like 3-0, because when Cruz he hit the crossbar, and when David Alaba also hit the crossbar, those are not chances, because like the David Alaba one was from a free kick, and the Cruz one was from far outside the box, so it's not really a chance. Like, City never allowed Real Madrid to get to play the way that they wanted to play, get to play the chances bigger and bigger. No, they forced them to take long distance shots, and I believe that's why they didn't score a goal. Like, City, they were just perfect all over. They were near perfect in attack. They could have had way more than just 4 goals, if we're being completely honest. Courtois made a wonderful save on Haaland in the 20th minute, I believe it was. And obviously City, they were perfect in midfield and in defense as well. They could have been better in attack, but you know what, 4-0, and I'm standing here saying that they could be better. That just proves how good they actually are. So I think that was very, very deserving that these 2 teams are in the final based on how they've played in the semifinals. So let's move on to my predictions. So I'm going to start off with, what do we know about the 2 teams? What do we know about their style of play, how they like to play? Well, we know Inter, they are a team that obviously they usually play like 5 at the back, and they like to sit back and defend, especially if they get the first goal. They want to get the first goal and then just fall back and defend, and defend, because they are content with just getting 1 goal a game, and they can they are very content with winning a game 1-0, which ultimately leads them sometimes to lose games because they just won 1 goal and then that's it. So, you know, sometimes they lose games to weaker oppositions. For example, I can count early on in the season where they lost 3-1 to Udinese. They probably also lost to Cremonese and stuff. Not to say that Udinese is a bad team. I know they're a very good team. But, you know, just to put things into perspective, then what is City going to do to them if those teams can do damage to them? Now, City, on the other hand, they are the complete opposite to Inter. They like to attack. They like to play forward football, attacking football. And whether or not you like City as a club, I think we can all agree that they play very, very attractive football. And I mean, I guess, yeah, that's really just a fact whether or not you like them as a club. They play very attractive football. The complete opposite of Inter Milan. Some people would say that they play terrorist football, Inter. And you know what? It's fun that this is a final because I, for one, can see Inter win this game. I can see them, like, if Inter score first, it's gonna be a good and a bad thing for them. It's gonna be a good thing because that's what they want. They want to score first and then they can sit back. Maybe they want to get a second goal as well, of course, if they can. But mainly they want to sit back when Inter they score the first goal, if they do. And that means that City, they will have to play through the low block, play through the very deep lines of Inter. And I mean, they do have the players who are able to do that. And I think Guardiola, he knows that as well, that if Inter score first, they're going to sit back. But it's never a good thing to be up 1-0 heading into halftime if they score in the first half to Guardiola, because he's going to go out all guns blazing in the second half. Just remember Liverpool City. I think Liverpool, they were 1 or 2-0 up at halftime, and Guardiola, he came back into that game. I've said it before, like, just don't be 1-0 up against Guardiola at halftime. It never ends good because he's going to go all guns blazing in the second half. I could actually see Inter win this game. Like, I really could see them win. If they score first and they decide to sit back and defend, I could see them win this game. Obviously, they want to look for the second goal because we all know how dangerous City they are. Like, they can almost get a goal at will, really. But I could definitely see Inter win this game, and I think a lot of people are saying, oh, City have already won the Champions League. I really don't think that that's the case. I genuinely don't think that that's the case. But hold on, I'm not gonna say it yet, but I will say later on who I think will win the final. I'm just gonna say now, I'm gonna look at both teams and say why they can and why they possibly cannot win the final. Obviously, if we look at the squad depth, City have got the much greater depth. They can sub on Mahrez, Alvarez, Foden, this and that if they want to. Inter don't really have the same luxury like City they have in terms of the bench players. Speaking about Alvarez, he even got a goal yesterday against Real Madrid when he got subbed on in like the 86th minute. He scored in the 92nd. But I think the way for Inter to win is to play with a low block, to play deep, and maybe not have, I mean, they play with obviously 5 at the back, but their fullbacks are very attacking in Gosens and Dumfries. But I think that, like, against City, that will not work, because if their fullbacks go up, you know, City, they can also be quick on the counter, and they will score. If you give City the opportunity, they will score. The important thing for Inter is to finish their chances at all costs, really. And I know that kind of like is very self-explanatory, finish your chances, but I really think that that's important for Inter, because if they don't, City they will. And the same goes vice versa. City, they need to finish their chances as well. Not like yesterday against Real Madrid, where they had like 3 shots on target that could have easily been goals if not for Courtois. I really just think for both teams, finish your chances, because it can easily go the other way. And for City, I mean, they play attractive football. They can play basically between any defensive lines. They can do whatever they want to do. Personally, I think the City, they will win the Champions League final. I don't think that they will win like by a huge margin. I think it's either going to be 2-0 or 2-1. I don't think that it's going to be a thrashing, as some people think. I don't know why you would think that. I think it's going to be 2-1 or 2-0 to City. I think that they will win. Again, not that much. I still think Inter could win. I mean, it wouldn't be out of my imagination to think that Inter, they would go in and win 1-0 or 2-0 or 2-1 either. I just think it's going to be 2-0 or 2-1 to Manchester City, but I could also see go to Inter, but I have to make up my mind. I'm going to say 2-0 Manchester City for the Champions League final. especially now that they can rest a little bit in the league, since Arsenal are continuing to drop points. Obviously, they lost 3-0 to Brighton, and City won 3-0 against Everton, so they can like rest a little bit in the league. So they will have all their players 100% fit for the Champions League final. But talking about that, like Inter, they need to win the Champions League, I think. I don't know exactly where they are in the league, but it would also just be very important for them to win the Champions League. And I definitely think that their players are going to go all in on this. But if we again look at the individual players, City have a much better team, both on an individual level, but also at a team level. But if that means anything in the Champions League final, I don't know. It comes down a lot to mentality as well. Again, who scores the first goal? When do they score the first goal? All these, small things, small margins. Is there going to be a penalty? Is there going to be a free kick right outside the box? We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. If it's going to happen, like we saw with Liverpool Spurs, when Liverpool got a penalty very early on, that changed the whole game. I'm not saying that Spurs would have won the game. But when a penalty happens in Champions League final, especially very early on, it changes the whole course of the game. But let me know down below in the comments what your guys' predictions are for the Champions League final 2023, and we will see you all in the very next video.